Okay, this is part three of a series of brief lectures regarding the problems of Palestine slash Israel, or Israel slash Palestine, or however you want to term the conflict in the Middle East there. I received an interesting reprint from a friend. Unfortunately, the source isn't identified, but the opinions of people are here. And I'll read the first paragraph and we'll go from there. It says, Peter Beinart has emerged as the single most powerful voice criticizing the disastrous policies of Israeli governments and major American Jewish organizations since 1967, and especially in the past generation. He courageously pivoted away from the earlier, more defending positions on the conflict, and he now joins a small but growing number who insist that the Israeli policy has made the two-state solution impossible. I presume Peter Beinart, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is Jewish. And this is a view held by many Jews who have strong opposition to many of the governmental decisions of Israel. And I can say I understand where they're coming from, but there are some problems with the view. The first, which is huge, is that the two-state solution is a total myth. It's a total myth because you need two sides to accept a two-state solution. And the record of the Arab side is one of total rejection of two states unless the two states consist of an Arab state of Palestine and a second Arab state of Palestine that also contains a few Jews. And I know what a lot of people will say, that's not true, that's not true. And unfortunately, getting at the truth is very difficult because the Jewish position, the Israeli position, is that every attempt to create two states has been refused by the Arab side because they will never allow any type of a Jewish state to exist. So this is the question. If there's going to be two states from an Israeli point of view, it's not unreasonable for them to insist that one of the states be Israel and that it be governed essentially by the present government that it has, and they work out their own issues with how the democracy runs. And the Arab Palestinian state likewise would make its own rules and regulations. For those who claim that the Arab side has accepted that, all you would have to do to prove your point is to have the Arab leaders of Palestine, which would include the Palestine Liberation Front and the Hamas, which is in Gaza, to say unequivocally in Arabic to their own people and to the world that we are prepared to negotiate a two-state solution, which will include Israel continuing to exist, however they choose to do so, without making any commitments to boundaries, borders, terrorism, anything else, just to make that statement public. If you can find that statement somewhere in Arabic, let me know. I'll be happy to review the position. But if it exists, it is not known to the diplomats who work the circuits, and it is definitely not known to the majority of the Israeli public, although there are deniers, many there. whose vision of peace is so strong that they cannot see the difficulty that they're encountering trying to create peace with people whose idea of peace is their elimination and destruction. A good example of this would be the collapse of what happened with the agreement that Arafat had signed. I'm blocking the name of the accords right now. They'll either come back to mind or not. We'll fit it in later. But in any case, the accords were not signed by the Palestinian side. And for those who remember, Ariel Sharon, who was a private citizen at that time, he was not part of the Israeli government, walked on the Temple Mount, which means near where the Islamic mosque sits in Jerusalem, which he has every right to do. But this was considered so offensive that all negotiations were canceled and an intifada was started, which consists of a major rise in terrorism, which went on for some time. You would have to ask yourself, why would somebody jeopardize the answer to a 100-year dream, or however long, to come up with a two-state solution? Why would they jeopardize all of that because a private citizen, no matter how notorious they were, walked near a mosque? Not in a mosque, near a mosque. It makes no sense. I've had this discussion before with some intelligent people who were Palestinian backers, and they couldn't see it. They just thought that that act was so egregious that any response was justified. I have trouble accepting that, and even if we accept that, we would say, okay, well, let's start again. Let's go back to those accords and make another attempt at a two-state solution. But the two-state solution is something that is in the dreams of Jewish liberals. It's in the dreams of people who truly seek peace. But as near as we can tell, it is not part of the dreams. It's part of the nightmares for the Arab population of Palestine. So before you get out and protest or join your BDS group or whatever you do to oppose Israeli policy, try to find why we cannot get a statement made by the Palestinian side that they believe in a two-state solution that includes Israel. Saying you believe in a two-state solution is a meaningless term if the two states mean two of your states. It'd sort of be like at the Civil War, they had a pause in the battle, and the South said to the North, "Okay, let's we'll go along here. We can have two states, but there has to be slavery in both states." Okay, it doesn't work. It wouldn't have worked the other way either. The North said to the South, "Okay, you can be a separate nation, but you can't have slaves." The country was cut in half because of that reason, and Palestine is cut in half because Muslims do not want Jews in their country. Even as a small minority, they do not want them. And I would love to be proven wrong by statements from the PLO and Hamas that we are ready to live side by side with a Jewish nation. What the paper regarding Beinhart and a gentleman named Lustig, neither of whom I know about. I probably should, for the sake of my own education. But they're talking about a one-state confederation where people can live together, sort of like Switzerland and their canton system, or United States with their state system, where you would have Muslims controlling areas and Jews controlling areas, and have an overall cooperative government. I find it amazing that intelligent people can. Well, actually, I guess I'll take that back. It's not that amazing, because a lot of intelligent people who are passionate about peace believe that peace is possible at all times between two populations. And I think they're right in the long run. The long run might be 500 years, though. In the short run, you do not find populations that are antagonistic getting along too well. Look at Serbia and Croatia. Look at all of the civil wars in Africa. Look at what's going on in Nigeria between the Islamic and the Christian sectors. Look what goes on in the Islamic world between the Shia and the Sunni and the Alawites and the others. Look at Syria. Look at Lebanon. There is no good example of a Middle Eastern country where all the factions get along, even when they're all Arab and all Muslim. Yemen. If you can't get peace in Yemen, how on earth can you realistically propose that you can have Jews and Muslims working together, in the next 10 or 20 years, let alone 100 years? 500 years maybe, but 100 years, no. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. It's a serious question. A two-state solution is what the world wants, and it is what one side in that conflict wants. The other side pays lip service to it, particularly when speaking to the United Nations or to English-speaking groups. But you will never see them saying to their own people in Arabic that we will live side by side with a Jewish nation. I hope and pray that that changes. There are people working hard for peace in the area. For those of you who aren't aware of it, I'll put in a plug for the Abrahamic Reunion. They have kind of a unique approach to this. They say that the problem is not that religions are involved in the argument, but there's not enough involvement. And there's a group of Jews, Muslims, and Christians who are seeking to have peace by basically increasing the understanding that all three religions stem from an Abrahamic tradition. And I say more power to them. I would wish them success too, but I think it's unlikely in my lifetime or my grandchildren's lifetime, but not impossible for the future. Maybe a religious approach will help. And if you include a religious approach to include just regarding and respecting your fellow man, maybe there's a shot. So good luck to the Abrahamic Reunion. I do follow them. I occasionally send a donation. You can look them up. They are at least another voice that is balanced. which is what I'm trying desperately to do, is to have a reasonably balanced discussion which recognizes that there are two sides and that both sides have uh, passionate people who believe firmly in what they're trying to do. And we cannot discount either side or any part of either side completely without an attempt at understanding, hard as that may be. All right, good night, all. It's 20 after, not 20, it's 10 after 8 o'clock here, 2010. Um, Not sure what time it is where you are and whatever time you're looking at this, but everybody, please have a good weekend, a good week, and everyone pray for peace. And if you're an atheist, pray anyhow. Won't hurt you.